Joining us from Houston is John Hofmeister, former president of Shell Oil and author of Why We Hate the Oil Companies, Straight Talk from an Energy Insider. Mr. Hofmeister joins us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Harry.
As you watch this top kill process go on for the last several days and then finally be suspended over the weekend, what were your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts were that the pressure coming from the reservoir looked very strong relative to the mud going into the well. And it was always an iffy proposition, so I wasn't really quite too surprised when it was declared a failure.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, there has to be efforts made to try to control what's coming out of that well.
We know now that what they want to do is, snap this riser and then put another pipe on top of it or some sort of a contraption, a dome over it, and hope to suck the oil out that way. What do you think of this plan B?
Well, I think if they can, and I'm sure they have, engineered the flange that would hold the two pipes together from the blowout protector to the riser, there's a good chance it could work. It could stem the flow. And the whole point is, let's try to, if we can't stop the oil, let's control the oil so at least it is not entering the sea where it could go anywhere.
Yeah. One of the things you've been talking about for weeks now is this idea of bringing super tankers or barges or what have you in there to the site where the oil is rising to the surface and start skimming this oil. Thus far, that idea has not been nobody said, well, let's do that. We asked Tad Allen last week, and he said, well, we're thinking about it. Have you heard a satisfactory explanation as to why that idea has not been implemented yet?
Well, I've been advocating the change because I think it's time for a paradigm shift. We've been burning, dispersing, and skimming and booming. But, with all that oil getting into the marshes, we ought to be able to do a better job than that. So putting a line of barges with high volume pumps, having super tankers cruising back and forth, it has to be a different approach if we're going to stop that oil from going into the marshes. I have heard from yesterday a call from an admiral in the Coast Guard. They are pursuing the idea to see what it would take, what it would look like. And I think what the American people need is really a thumbs up or a thumbs down as to whether it's a viable idea or not.
And in the meantime, though, we're talking about millions and millions of gallons of oil. Why not at least give it a shot?
Well, that's my whole point. We have demonstrated that the current systems are not working fully, not adequately. So let's try something else. We're creative people. We're innovative people. And the supertanker idea has been used before. It's not brand new. And so the logistics are difficult. Getting the supertankers freed up is not easy. But we ought to be able to solve those problems.
And in the meantime, this thought that if this new dome strategy doesn't work, that this hole in the bottom of the sea would continue to spew oil until August. Can we imagine what this is going to be like 2 months from now or 3 months from now?
Well, it's not going to be good. There's just no question about that. And what oil remains below the surface, drifting into the various currents around the Gulf of Mexico, sucking the oxygen out of the sea. Eventually, the oil will disappear. Eventually, the oil will be eaten by microbes, as it is all over the earth. However, we don't understand the near-term impact. We also don't understand what if the hurricane season starts churning these tides, churning the ocean to the fact that massive quantities of oil end up on the beaches of Louisiana and the rest of the Gulf.
John Hofmeister, we thank you for your time and your expertise this morning. Do appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
A lot happens early on The Early Show, weekday mornings on CBS.